Let's back up a little bit in your life. Here you are, a little boy playing soccer in the cemetery. Something happens. How old were you when you began to look at the political scene, or however you saw it, the revolution or whatever, and began to think that was a life for you as well? Were you 6, 7, 12, 13? How old were you when you began to really actively participate?
I asked myself many times, why are our people behind? We have human resources, we have oil, we have very smart people. Why we are not one of the best nations? And the reason, of course, as my family taught me, and as the Islamic modern doctrine talks, that the West is responsible for that. Christianity is responsible for this, to put us under slavery, persecution, take everything that we have and leave us behind. And they're using their power, their weapons, everything. And this is a big lie. And I was convicted that this is the reason why we are behind. So it was easy to blame Israel, to blame America, to blame the West in general, as everybody today in the Middle East, by the way. Blame you, blame me, blame the church, blame Israel, the United States government, even the God of the Bible, for their misery, for their bad life. And I grew up in that environment. But this is the easiest answer, to blame the others. And I start to learn, figure out, maybe we have other problems, and this didn't come out of comfort. This came after persecution, after torture, after loss of pain, not only because of the Israelis, because also of my people. And I suffered a lot as a child to see all the blood, all the persecution,
you were
the
involved
madness.
In that. It mentioned you throwing rocks at tanks.
Yes.
That's true. You physically, in that sense, fought against the Israeli army?
I was part of that, and I was even much more involved in that, to a level that I bought guns. I wanted to go and kill Israelis.
Wow. So you grew up with a real hatred for the Israelis, blaming them for...
When you're living in the Middle East, you have several reasons to hate Israel. You have ideological reasons, you have political reasons. Israel is viewed as occupying force in that region. And by the way, it's recognized by most international community governments that it's occupying force. So when somebody is occupying your land, you hate them for that.
Yes.
So this is the political reason. Secondly, the ideological reason that the God of Islam doesn't like Jews. Muhammad doesn't like Jews. He described them as pigs and monkeys. So
Muhammad described the Jews as pigs and monkeys.
Exactly. And Muhammad himself, this is why all the time I like to get back to the root of the problem. Muhammad is the highest example for Muslims. He's a model for all Muslims here in America and in the Middle East. And they follow his steps. Now, Muhammad himself killed Jews, Christians, and anybody who didn't believe in his message. He raped Jewish woman after killing her husband, father, and uncle. The same day he slept with her, and she became one of his wives later on. Her name is Safiya.
A Jew.
A Jew. One of his more than 50 wives. Officially, he has only 16. But any woman in the Quran that offered herself for the Prophet, again to the Prophet point, he has the right to say yes or no. And he has more than 50 wives. So Muhammad is the highest example for Muslims. And if he hated Jews, if he killed Jews, Muslims don't have only political reasons to hate and kill Jews. They have ideological reasons. They worship God. They worship their God, the God of the Quran, by killing Jews. So this is the type of environment, where you grow up. You have ideological reasons, political reasons. You have enough reasons. What would happen if you grow up in that environment? Like anybody of you guys, like ask yourself this question. If you grow up in that situation, will you be able to make it out? And this was one of my questions to the judge. You know, you're judging me because I had affiliation with a terrorist, my father, that we were sitting on the same table and eating, you know, in the same room. That's my father. I grew up there. I was born there. And I had no choice but to be affiliated with him. But I made my way out. If you were in my shoes, would you be able to make it out?
Great question. Great question. How old were you, Mosab, when you wound up going to prison?
I was arrested the first time when I was 18 years old.
And the Israelis arrested you? Were you arrested on the street or in your house?
They came into my house looking for me, and I ran away. I told you I'm fast. I know how to run. And a month later, they arrested me, and I was tortured brutally.
How long were you in prison at that time?
16 months.
16 months. They tortured you, the Israelis?
Yes, the Israeli tortured me for about 3 months in one of the worst interrogation facilities.
Was that the worst part of prison? What happened in prison besides the torture that affected you?
I was already full of hate for the Jews, and I wanted to kill them. I bought guns. Because of that, I was arrested, because I bought guns, and they discovered my plans before I put them in practice. So I was arrested, tortured, because I didn't want to give information. I want to be the tough guy, and they don't have tolerance for anybody who wants to harm the state of Israel. And I was tortured for that reason. And during that time, after I was tortured, they offered me to work for them. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. You're torturing me, arresting my father. My father is still in your prisons, and you're killing my people. You're shooting at me, and now you're offering me to work for you. And I thought that would be a great opportunity to fool them. To them, yes, I work for you. So while they feel safe toward me, I infiltrate them and take revenge from inside. So that was my goal, to play a double agent. And we agreed to work together. They sent me to prison with other Hamas members to spend the rest of my sentence. And during that time, I found Hamas torturing. When I say Hamas, this is the Islamic radical resistance movement that is responsible for the killing of thousands of Israelis that my father founded. Now, when I went to prison, I found those people who I was hoping that one day they will bring justice, happiness to earth by creating a global Islamic state. They were torturing their own people. So
why were they torturing their own people?
They were suspicious that some of the Hamas members gave information to the Israelis.
Sure, sure.
So they wanted to figure out who gave information. And practically, while my intention wasn't to help Israel, I was in a relationship with the Israelis, but they didn't know about it. So now I had the chance to see how they were torturing people that they had nothing to do with the Israeli Shin Bet, because at that time I knew at least the basics of how Israel works and communicate with its people, and most people were tortured. They had no relationship with the Israeli Shin Bet, so they were victims.
Shin Bet is their...
The Israeli Intelligence Service.
Intelligence Service, sort of like of our
FBI. Like
okay.
The FBI.
Good.
So they were torturing their own people without a mercy, you know, and it was much worse than the Israeli torture.
What effect did that have on you, watching your own people torturing your own people?
One important question in my life, in my mind started. Why do I hate Israel for torturing me and torturing my people, and I don't hate Hamas for torturing our people? Why only I hate Israel? Logically. Yes. And that was one of the first logical questions that I had in this long journey of getting out of the box of Islam and the Middle East and see the picture from outside and try to judge it through the eyes of the Most High One, God Almighty.